From questions about cucumbers to homes on cul-de-sacs, you've come to the right place. Welcome to the Ask Mr. Greenthumb and Real Estate Show with Stan DeFreitas, the dad, and James DeFreitas, the son. For the next hour, call in with your questions in gardening, growing your favorite veggies, and growing your profits in real estate. Locally, call 813-289-1860. Toll free 877-969-8600. And now, your hosts, Stan and James DeFreitas.
And I am Stan the dad, and you are James.
I am James the son.
And we're here every Sunday. We appreciate it. We've had thousands of people telling other thousands of people that we are here on Sunday mornings. If you were used to old Florida gardening, which I was a part of for years and years and years, well, of course, we miss Mark. We're sorry that certainly that occurred. But now you have Florida gardening right here, along with some real estate information as well.
Sure, yeah. I mean, we are the Ask Mr. Greenthumb Gardening and Real Estate program. So, but yeah, so we're here to take your gardening questions. And if you have any real estate questions, we both can help answer that. And so we look forward to having people call for that.
Now, I am a realtor. You are a realtor. And we're both licensed auctioneers. And I was going to say, I know I listened to a very interesting show after us. Bouchard does a show later in the day, and we don't sell stuff like he does, but we need to talk to Mr. Bouchard sometime because he doesn't do real estate. We don't sell stuff, so there should be a natural tie-in. I listen to him. It's very interesting when people want to know about something. He can say, hey, this is the price on that. That's not something... It's something we could legally do, but we don't do.
Sure, yeah, and that's, you know, the we're both licensed auctioneers, so we can sell anything, and we're also real estate professionals, so we literally can sell anything that you have. So I mean, one of the things we had talked about that we thought might be more of something that might need to take place in the future is restaurant equipment. Now, I saw a restaurant equipment auction taking place in Orlando, and they were combining like 3 or 4 different establishments. And to my surprise, it's kind of shocking how much that stuff costs. I mean, they were, doing a reserve auction where they were starting it out at $250,000.
Some of that stuff's expensive when you get into a whole kitchen setup and it's stainless steel and mixers and all the stuff.
It's extremely expensive, and I mean, it's unfortunate that that it's necessary. Again, in happier times when we didn't have to worry about businesses closing and, from COVID and that kind of thing, this wouldn't have been a thought. But now it's something we're having to really think about. And, and it kind of brings me to a point that I was listening to yesterday, as were you, to Paul Porter's show. Paul Porter.
One of our favorites. Yes, sir. The voice of the magic and the lightning, and a good guy.
Yeah, I mean, he's a tremendous guy. Love his show and everything. But he's asking legitimate questions. And one of the legitimate questions he was asking was, we're going to try to have some semblance of a baseball season. We're going to have some semblance of a football season coming up. And the question is if that he was posing for his audience was, if you have the opportunity to go to a game, would you? Would COVID keep you home?
Good question.
And so his guess, yeah, I mean, but his guess that he had on there was making the moral equivalent that if you went to a game, that essentially your good time would be an egregious act of being selfish, that would be essentially, saying, hey, I'm okay with you being asymptomatic, being infected at a game, and potentially killing my grandma who's going to the grocery store the next day to pick up essential grocery goods. And
yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, so we were both listening to that, and so one of the thoughts that came across my mind is where did we go from being accountable for our own choices to all of a sudden we now are responsible for the other choices that other people make. And I guess my whole point to the story is ultimately if your grandparent or immune-compromised person goes out to the grocery store, isn't that a choice? I mean, I think that is a choice.
Sure.
Now, you could argue 30 or 40 years ago that wasn't a choice, or maybe even less, maybe 5 years ago, 10 years ago. I don't know when other alternative ideas started to come into play, but, Instacart
delivery services
has been in play for several years now. I know Walmart does the pull your groceries service for you, and I think it's at no charge, to pull your groceries.
I don't know.
I think it is. Somebody can correct me, but that created a whole bunch of jobs for people to just go through and pull stuff off of shelves, put it into. You've probably seen it. There's these blue crates.
I have. I'm always jealous. I'm always thinking, why didn't I let them pull everything as I'm running through the store playing bumper car?
Right. So I guess my point is, would it be taxing for somebody who's, say, more elderly to learn how to do something a different way in order to be safe? Yep, it would be. But not doing it, isn't that a choice to choose not to do something and then choose to put yourself more at risk when you leave the house? That was my whole point, is that, there's got to be some kind of self-accountability. And I think back...
Self-accountability? Do you expect people to really be accountable for anything you do?
That's what I'm kind of getting at is, could you imagine even having this conversation, say, with World War II vets and saying, hey, this is where we've come, where, self-accountability is entirely out the window, and now we're in this new world where we're going to talk about how my actions inadvertently are going to cause the death of others. It sort of makes it out as if someone dies from a choice I made, that I'm responsible because I was the irresponsible person who attended a sporting event, or didn't wear a mask, or I didn't do the things that I was supposed to do, which then put that person at risk. It's as if the person who gets sick is totally blameless for the decision that they made to go out and get groceries or do some essential service. And then the argument is, well, what if they need to go get their medications? Well, I would argue
drive-through.
There's a drive-through.
That's what I use.
Mail order pharmacy has been around for quite some time. There are other ways to accomplish these tasks, but instead of asking those people to change their behavior patterns, it seems that we better ask everyone to change all of their behavior patterns rather than people that are immunocompromised to change their behavior patterns. That seems to be the prevailing wisdom today.
Well, and there's a big thing, too. They're picking on Tom Brady about, he said, all we have to fear, as FDR said, is fear itself. And
which was one of the most democratic social, I guess we just call him a socialist. I mean, he, the biggest expansion ever in terms of a social program. I mean,
I was going to say, we are blessed to have Tom Brady here. I love this guy's work ethic. Get out there and throw the football. Somebody said, well, he can just do it virtually. Well, no, he can't. And if you've ever been an athlete of any sort, and I have been, and you have been somewhat, when you need to practice, and the only way to do it is to do it. You can't say, well, the computer is going to tell me how to throw this in 2.3 seconds. You need to learn to do it. And I thought, God, are we blessed to have a quarterback like Tom Brady who goes, hey, I'm going to get with the guys, we're going to throw the ball. And you know why? Because even though I've been doing this like I've been the best ever for the last 20 years, I need to know that my receivers were on the same page.
Right. I mean, and a very clear equivalent can be made. And again, we're not the superstar status that Tom Brady is. But here's the thing: I would make a clearer equivalent to what you and I are doing in terms of, creating new relationships at Remax Metro, and what we're, how do I develop business relationships with people that work there if I never interact with them? And that's the same thing that I think Brady is saying. He's saying, well, look, I have to interact with my teammates to create a bond so that I know what they're thinking when they're going to run a route. I know that if they, if I call an audible, they'll know that this is what I expect them to do, and vice versa.
Of course, the opposite could be said over in China. They had people that were infected in some areas, and they just walled them off. They let the people die. Now, that was pretty effective in keeping the spread of the COVID-19 going from anywhere. But I don't think we're quite ready to say, well, we're just going to block off somebody because the government, we the people, are going to decide. Now, also in the Constitution, it's we the people, right? Isn't
Well, I think I remember reading it recently. I mean, it was popularized, I guess, by Lincoln.
For the people and by the people.
In his Gettysburg Address, he said, we're a government for the people, by the people. And that's where that phraseology comes from.
And it shall not perish from the earth.
Right. And again, I mean, it's the idea that we are beholden to something greater than ourselves is kind of where I think we're headed, where that was heading, that thought process. And I think the idea here is you can do amazingly fast things that don't observe civil liberties if you don't have a constitution to live by. And we have an amazing document that protects us.
True.
So, yeah, I mean, again, if we all want to wear face masks, and that's the prevailing wisdom, and the local governments have taken that into account, then I think then I'm on board. But the idea is, what I'm seeing a lot of times is this county has a face mask law, so I want to have a face mask law. I want what they've got because I don't want to look like we were irresponsible. So it's almost like we're voting for things because we don't want to be the irresponsible county that gets picked on. And, again, if that's what the general consensus is of the people that show up to voice their opinions before these decisions are made, then I'm all on board because that's the democratic process that we all signed up for.
Well, it's almost like, well, that person over there isn't wearing it. I'm going to go tell the manager. I want that person, reprimanded right now because they don't have a mask on. Well,
Yeah, it's a slippery slope. I mean, and then you factor in the HIPAA violations that will definitely occur. You start asking people to wear a mask, and they tell you that they can't, and that they have a medical condition, and that their doctor told them that they didn't want them to wear one. Then I think you got to think about that for a second because that's challenging.
Well, if you want to talk to us about anything that's going right or wrong in your yard or garden, we'll answer those questions as well as also, of course, when it comes to your real estate, what's going on and what's not, right?
Yep, 813-289-1860.
You stay with us as the plant talk and real estate talk continues right here.
Want to talk real estate auctions? Call James DeFreitas at 727-254-7127 or go online at aflre.com.
Hi, Darcy the Cow here for Black Cow, the mature manure. Every time you buy a bag of Black Cow, you're helping the environment. Our process helps to repurpose manure so it is environmentally friendly and beneficial for your garden and lawn. Black Cow contains up to 10 times more nutrients and microbes than garden soils. Oh yeah, and it helps to retain moisture too. Your lawn, flower beds, and vegetable gardens will be off to a great start with Black Cow. Everything grows better with sun, water, and Black Cow. Oh yeah, for details, check out our website, at blackcow.com.
Black Cow, the mature manure, Black Cow.
Have you ever thought about auctioning your home?
And 30, 1 bid and 2 and 2 bid and 3 and 4 and 4 bid and 5 bid and 2 9 bid and 6 on 2 9 bid and 7.
Remax Metro encourages you to auction your Florida real estate. Please go to aflre.com. That's A for auction, FL for Florida, and RE for real estate. We achieve full market value for your home. Tired of paying real estate commissions? How about 0% commission for sellers? That's right, sellers pay 0% commission. Again, go aflre.com. That's Auction Florida Real Estate. That's aflre.com.
Thinking of buying a home or refinancing your mortgage? Don't settle for limited loan options. And don't waste your time calling all over town just to compare rates. Skip all the hassle and connect with Motto Mortgage Advisors instead. Motto Mortgage Advisors home loan experts offer a wide variety of mortgage products, and they'll help you compare rates and loan terms in one convenient location. Visit mottomortgage.com or call 727-202-5626. Motto Mortgage Advisors, NMLS 1744233. Each office is independently owned, operated, and licensed. Equal housing opportunity.
Biophilia, our innate attraction to other living things. It's why people love plants. And around Tampa Bay, Plants, that's Plantz, is bringing nature inside in workspaces and homes by delivering beautiful foliage plants. Our plants increase oxygen and filter out pollutants, reducing stress and improving productivity. And get you in touch with your biophilic side. Go to plantz.us.
Utz Tree Service, that's YUTZY, is singularly focused on complete customer satisfaction and has been for almost 50 years. From initial contact to service completion, UTZTreeservice.com will prove that you have hired the best tree care service available. With the most knowledgeable staff and the most advanced equipment, you can be sure that UTZTreeservice.com is the most professional tree care company in the Tampa Bay area. Contact UTZTreeservice.com today for the highest
and Real Estate Show. Got questions about perennial problems with flowers? What about issues with closing on your newest property? Call now, 813-289-1860. Toll free, 877-969-8600. And now, your hosts, Stan and James DeFreitas.
And we never really left anywhere, but we're back. And that means, I always thought that was funny in radio. Everybody goes, well, we'll be back. Well, where are you going? Where are you going? Well, we're here. I've been doing this for the last 40 years, and I still enjoy it. So I enjoy helping people. That's kind of what we do. I was talking to Ken, one of our producers today, and he wasn't sure exactly what kind of grass he has, but he's got some weeds. And I told him, take a picture, send it to us, and then bring it in, and I can tell him for sure, because if he uses the wrong weed killer on the wrong grass, he could do some major problems.
Yep.
And so that's kind of important. So if you're like Ken and you've got a problem with your lawn, your shrub, your tree, well, that's kind of the reason I'm here. I wrote a gardening book for Florida, Stan DeFreitas' Complete Guide to Florida Gardening. And I moved it back there because when I looked at last week, I couldn't see it up here at all. So this week I put it back here, and it'll probably should have been over here.
Oh, the subtle advertising.
Well, it's not so subtle. I need to sell books. I will say one of the things I thought was interesting of the day is we gave one of our first talks for this new time, and we actually gave it to a RE/MAX group, but the RE/MAX Elite, not for the RE/MAX group that we've actually gone to work with.
Yeah, well, at the end of the day...
But we're all in the same family.
We're all in the same family. And actually, to my mistake, I thought they were RE/MAX Elite Realty out of Palm Harbor, and it turns out after I gave the talk... again, always know who your audience is.
They're over in Melbourne, right?
Yeah, they're in Melbourne.
Well, we appreciate them being there.
Yeah. But, I mean, the better question is I was trying to figure out how they knew to reach out to us. So, yeah, that's something I'll have to I'll get with Carrie on and find out more about how that worked. We do have some plant questions that did come in on the AskMrGreenthumb.com website.
Well, let's go ahead and answer them.
Yeah, so I figured I'd go ahead and ask you during our slower hour. And so we have a question that's come in at the AskMrGreenthumb.com website, and this has come in from Joe, just J-O, and this is going to be an interesting one. It says, where can I find Epidendrum radicus? And I may be butchering that.
For an orchid? Okay.
Okay. I'm looking to find several new plants of Epidendrum radicans type. Is there anyone that you might know of in the Clearwater, St. Pete area who might have some for sale?
I would say there's the Orchid Society, and they are a great group of folks. I haven't talked to them in a while, but I used to go to some of their shows. They had some shows. I don't know if they'll be having shows right now with the COVID type thing going on. But, boy, you could see more different orchids, not only Phalaenopsis and Vandas, and, you'd find all kinds of orchids. That's probably your best source. Many of the nurseries will have them. I would probably get on the horn and call. I mean, I used to just go to places. But it seems now, I decide almost always to get on my phone, Google the place, and then I start trying to say, hey, do you have this or that? And I do like it because it does save your time. I mean, you go to some place and you go, oh, no, we don't have that. Well, that's the reason I came for this particular item. And that is so true. So you can find things. Someone asked me the other day, what about getting some unusual fruit tree? I said, our old buddy Janae. Janae's Tropicals down in St. Pete. She's got it. If you're looking for something that's a an unusual fruit tree, she has it where most of the other nurseries don't. So we'll give her a little free plug there because she was. We did some television with her some many moons ago.
Yeah, and she also did a radio program, I believe, on the sister station here.
I think she still may. I think they're still recutting stuff on 570 for her.
Fantastic.
And so that maybe she'll mention us sometime. But we're here, of course, to answer some of your questions. We're live. We're here at the studios. We're here right now. A lot of times folks will say, well, I tried to call in the very last part of your show between the 8 and 9 hour and couldn't get in. Well,
that makes it difficult.
It's difficult. So call in early and we'll get to you. Call in now and we'll get to you. And so maybe we've helped that. The Orchid Society is probably one of the best sources when you want something that not every place is going to.
That makes perfect sense to me. So we have another question from a Patsy. Let's see here.
Patsy Cline, great artist.
No, she has a rather French-sounding last name, and I'll leave that to some mystery to that.
Parlez-vous français, oui?
So she... Bon après-midi.
Bon après-midi. Good afternoon.
Anyway, so she says... so her question's on rose bushes, and she says... All of the stems look dead on my bush, but all ends have about 3 inches of bright green. No leaves that are wilted off, so I trimmed them off. Should I prune back the dead-looking area? Thanks, Patsy.
Anytime there's dead tissue, I'm a fan of cutting it back to where it's live tissue, where it looks good. And roses can have... I always like to make the joke. Roses get into black spot, powdery mildew, downy mildew, rust mites, aphids, and other beetles and things. Other than that, they're trouble-free.
Sure, and we'd also like to mention to you, too, if you want to call in and ask us a question on gardening and or real estate, it's 813-289-1860 is the number to call, especially if you're local. And we'll continue talking about plants and or real estate after the break.
Here on The Answer, 860 AM. Stay with us.
Interested in having a home consult? Remember, you can reach Stan at 727-423-4794 or on the web at askmrgreenthumb.com.
Have you ever thought about auctioning your home?
30, 1 bid and 2 and 2 bid and 3 and 3 bid and 4 and 4 bid and 5 bid and 2 9 bid and 6 on 2 9 bid and 7
Remax Metro encourages you to auction your Florida real estate. Please go to aflre.com. That's A for auction, FL for Florida, and RE for real estate. We achieve full market value for your home. Tired of paying real estate commissions? How about 0% commission for sellers? That's right, sellers pay 0% commission. Again, go aflre.com. That's Auction Florida Real Estate. That's aflre.com.
Welcome back to the Ask Mr. Greenthumb and Real Estate Show. Connect online at askmrgreenthumb.com. Got questions on gardening, real estate, or both? Call now, 813-289-1860. Toll free, 877-969-8600. And now, your hosts, Stan and James DeFreitas.
And I am Stan the Dad, and you are?
And I'm James the Son, and we're back. One of the things we were talking about a little bit on the break there, and again, we don't try to get too political on this show. My mindset is we try to keep it fairly neutral in terms of our politics.
True.
But, the times are a-changing, as Dylan once said in a song. We have to kind of there are some political realities we just kind of have to accept. I'm perfectly okay with the idea of wearing masks, and I'm perfectly okay being safe and socially distancing and all of that kind of stuff, especially when it comes to the ideas of how a business is going to be presented. I think that there are things that we have to get on board with in order to protect businesses, if for nothing else, from an appearance standpoint. You don't want to have a business, having a perception issue that they're being unsafe. And because businesses want to do business with everybody, that means you take on both sides of the coin. That means it doesn't matter if you have an R or a D next to your voter's ID card, and we're kind of in that same camp. I want to do business with everybody. But I will say one thing about the mask thing that we were talking about at the break, and that is if you want the government to, and I count, city, local, those are local municipalities. I can't even speak today.
Municipalities.
Thank you. So anyway, if they are going to pass the idea of making it mandatory that you wear a mask, are you going to be okay with the government also saying that you have to get a vaccine? It's a worthy question.
Yeah, that is a good question, and I think a high percentage would say, "Well, no, I'm not taking it because I don't know if it's going to be if it's going to be safe." Well, right. The mask isn't. The mask is a nice protection idea. It doesn't really work. A virus is a billionth of a particle.
Right.
And if you think that this mask stops a billionth of a particle, it doesn't.
The argument that I've heard is that the virus, it tends to not travel very far outside of fluid. So
only 20 feet.
Well, yeah, but I mean that's usually in a sneeze or something like that. So yeah, maybe it prevents that particle from for traveling as far as it would.
Maybe.
So yeah, and again, I mean, I'd like to see a lot more testing done.
Yeah, until you do testing, it's all just conjecture.
Yeah, and that's kind of my point. And the other thing, and I think you talked about this last week in brief, was, again, I think the 2018 stats were for the seasonal flu were 62,000 people died in 2018 in terms of fatalities. And and again, having this conversation not too long ago with my own GP, he, was telling me, hey, look, we have a scenario where, and he brought this to my attention. This was an interesting factoid. That, we have a vaccine that's 46% effective. And his comment to me was, that's considered really good.
Sure.
In terms of vaccines. So my question then, and his question to me was, if we have a great success with the COVID-19 vaccine, would 46% efficacy be good enough for us to accept that as a reason to go back to living some sense of normal life? And we both kind of blurted it out at the same time, that we didn't think the general public would be okay with 40% effectiveness.
Well, it is when it's the regular flu.
I understand. But what I'm getting at is, because this has become such a hot button item, and because the media has in large part scared people, and again, they roll these numbers out, with 130,000 dead, 140,000 dead. I mean, I don't even know where we are in terms of dead in the United States.
Well, those numbers can be, what's our old saying? Liars figure and figures lie.
Yeah, figures lie and liars figure. But again, on a more practical basis, the question I would have for that is, and this was mentioned a little bit yesterday on Paul Porter's show too by his other guest host, or maybe permanent host, I'm not sure. But anyway, he was on and he was saying, well, look, there have been a ton of cases that were, where the patients died and they were automatically coded a COVID death.
Sure.
And I've had people argue make this argument on social media posts, and they'll say, well, I don't care that your mother was, stage 4 cancer and had an immune compromised system. She ultimately got COVID, and she ultimately died from COVID, not stage 4 cancer, even though she was in the last stages of cancer. And I have a little bit of trouble disassociating it and saying, oh, yes, that's clearly a COVID death, whereas they probably were going to die in 2 weeks or a month or something anyway. It's the COVID that ultimately sent you to a slightly earlier grave, but you were going to die anyway. So I still want to, I would say, yeah, okay, I get on board with the idea of death from COVID, but it was 98% the cancer that you were going to die from.
And you were kind of on, and I hate to say the analogy, go to our sports analogy, but you were on the on-deck circle.
Yeah, you were on the on-deck circle.
Heaven's here, and you're on the on-deck circle pretty close. So
right, and I guess that's my larger point, is the lack of risk tolerance that we seem to have in society. I mean, I was watching a program, and it was talking about the Apollo astronauts. And they were interviewing Buzz Aldrin and Neil Armstrong and all of these. And one of the prevailing thoughts, and believe me, I will get back to the relevancy of why this makes sense to bring this up, is they were talking about the testing that was done and the technology that they had. And they were saying that the entire amount of technology that they had when they were landing astronauts on the moon was somewhere between a wristwatch and a pocket calculator. That was about the amount of technology that they had on board when we did that. And they were talking about, having pure oxygen pumped into the capsule, which ultimately proved fatal for Gus Grissom.
That was dangerous.
That was dangerous. But at the end of the day, both astronauts said, if we were to look today to what's acceptable today in terms of risk tolerance, we would have never have gone to the moon because the tolerance for risk isn't there anymore. The idea that we're willing to accept a potential fatality for something greater than ourselves or to move mankind forward, humankind forward, sorry for my more progressive thinkers, isn't there. So the question I would say is, what happened between the 1960s and if we fast forward 50 years, what happened? Something radically changed in society. And I'm not sure that that's always a positive thing. Yes, we want people to be safe, but we also want to do big things, don't we? And sometimes doing big things means taking some risks. And I think that the same things, when we're talking about this COVID thing, ultimately human trials will have to take place. You can only try the vaccine in so many macaques, and they are. They're trying this out in monkeys, and they're trying to see if they can get a reduction in viral load. That's one of the things that's being done. And I am happy to say too, I checked into this the other day. We have several vaccines that are in stage 3 trials. That's unheard of. It's an amazing accomplishment to talk about something that we didn't really even know anything about until December of last year, and it wasn't really something that was in our lexicon until March when we realized it was going to affect us.
Sure, makes sense to me.
Yeah. So I hope the vaccine makers, the government, everybody involved realizes the new standard for producing a vaccine is no longer 10 years. It's now you have to get it done in 6 months. We will now all expect that.
That's true.
Yeah. So I hope they realize that. So, all of these things were, it took us 11 years. 11 years? No, 6 months. That's the new standard bearer.
We expect things, we're an instantaneous society. We want things done now. Well, I know I'm sick of the mask. I haven't even worn the mask hardly, and I'm sick of it. So
and this is something that Paul Porter was talking about yesterday in his show, and I think he is absolutely correct in bringing it up. There is this COVID-19 fatigue. Mm-hmm. I think this is a real thing, and I think that turning around and shaming people for not wearing a mask doesn't make them want to wear the mask more. It makes them actually probably want to throw their mask out. I think one of the things that we have to do is we have to remind people, but in a nice, positive way, in a way that gets people to do things. I've never found that shaming somebody into doing something really worked that well. You may do it, you may get compliance, but they're not going to be doing it in a way that they're happy to do it in.
Sure.
So I think you have to do it through encouragement and, and the same thing like I do with my puppy dog. There has to be if there's a treat, I'll do it.
Well, you've got 2 puppy dogs that like the treat routine.
That's right. Yeah. And if they know there's a treat involved, then all of a sudden good things will happen. And if not, then I think that is less likely to happen. And I think people are somewhat like that too. I think more carrot, less stick.
Yeah, I think that's true. Well, you were telling a story about a lady who went to the store and she was shamed. She had a legitimate reason why she couldn't wear a mask medically, and no one cared that she had a medical reason why she couldn't wear a mask.
Yeah, I was reading this, and actually there was an article I was reading this morning. And it was some video that accompanied it. It was a woman that went into Trader Joe's, and of course she spouted off some anti-liberal messages as she left because she felt that they were being very much biased. And we do have a problem here. And it's something we can't get away from. If we're going to have HIPAA rules, which are federally protected, then, and if your personal relationship with your doctor and your doctor has looked at your situation and said, hey, I think you're probably going to have more trouble breathing, I'd rather you didn't wear the mask because I think the mask may be more of an issue for you than for others. Now, I don't know what that means. Do we put ribbons on people's wrists that they have a medical condition so you don't violate HIPAA by asking them why they're not wearing a mask? Maybe. I mean,
because if she can't let other people know, I'm going to tell you the vast majority of people are going to go, oh my gosh, she is a horrible, horrible person. Well, if she's got a medical reason on why she can't wear a mask, back off, people.
Well, yeah, and I'll give my own, and here's the other thing that I do. Rather than just saying, hey, shut up and do it, which is what I find we're hearing a lot of, let me give you a real-life example. I recently had to do a cardiac stress test because my doctor wanted me to get one. So I did. And, the nurse that did the test said, well, you got to wear a mask. And I said, well, okay. And I wore a mask, but I was wearing a mask because she asked me to. But the entire time I did the test, I didn't feel like I was getting as good of oxygen going in and out of my, in breathing.
I don't think you are.
And here's the thing. And now I know that the American Lung Association just came out and said that there is no reduction in oxygen present. They came out and made this declaratory statement. I'd like to see some data that shows that. I'm a big data guy. Prove it to me. Show me the stats. Show me all that. But I can tell you from my own personal experience, I felt like I was not getting the amount of oxygen that I should be getting, and thus I wound up ending the test a few minutes short because of that. Anyway, I know we've been talking about COVID a lot, but if people want to call in about real estate and or gardening questions, it's 813-289-1860 is how you get us.
And the toll-free number?
That one I don't have in front of me. So
they'll have it here shortly.
You can prattle that off for me.
We've got the ones over there on the wall. It gives us faith talk. I don't know why we have that aimed this way, but we'll get something in here for us. Anyway, we're here to answer your questions.
Want to talk real estate auctions? Call James DeFreitas at 727-254-7127 or go online at aflre.com.
Biophilia, our innate attraction to other living things. It's why people love plants. And around Tampa Bay, Plants, that's Plantz, is bringing nature inside in workspaces and homes by delivering beautiful foliage plants. Our plants increase oxygen and filter out pollutants, reducing stress and improving productivity. And get you in touch with your biophilic side. Go to plantz.us.
Have you ever thought about auctioning your home?
30, 1 minute and 2 and 2 minute and 3 and 4 and 4 minute and 5 minute and 2 9 minute and 6 on 2 9 minute and 7.
RE/MAX Metro encourages you to auction your Florida real estate. Please go to aflre.com. That's A for auction, FL for Florida, and RE for real estate. We achieve full market value for your home. Tired of paying real estate commissions? How about 0% commission for sellers? That's right, sellers pay 0% commission. Again, go aflre.com. That's Auction Florida Real Estate. That's aflre.com.
Utz Tree Service, that's YUTZY, is singularly focused on complete customer satisfaction and has been for almost 50 years. From initial contact to service completion, UTZTreeService.com will prove that you have hired the best tree care service available. With the most knowledgeable staff and the most advanced equipment, you can be sure that UTZTreeService.com is the most professional tree care company in the Tampa Bay area. Contact UTZTreeService.com today for the highest quality tree care.
Thinking of buying a home or refinancing your mortgage? Don't settle for limited loan options. And don't waste your time calling all over town just to compare rates. Skip all the hassle and connect with Motto Mortgage Advisors instead. Motto Mortgage Advisors home loan experts offer a wide variety of mortgage products, and they'll help you compare rates and loan terms in one convenient location. Visit MottoMortgage.com or call 727-202-5626. Motto Mortgage Advisors, NMLS 1744233. Each office is independent.
242 800-881-4242.
Welcome back to the Ask Mr. Greenthumb and Real Estate Show. Got questions about perennial problems with flowers? What about issues with closing on your newest property? Call now, 813-289-1860. Toll free, 877-969-8600. And now, your hosts, Stan and James DeFreitas.
So what's going right in the yard or garden? Right now, I've got areas, some earth boxes that I like to grow in. And as things have died out, and they have because it's so hot out there, I have decided to put in some little slips of sweet potatoes because I thought they'll be ready in the fall. And it's just so darn hot that I'm a little bit things I like to grow, like broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, which I usually grow. Coming up, I'll probably grow those in the fall. And they like it cool. They don't like it when it's this hot. So tomatoes, peppers, eggplant will probably still take the heat. Collard greens will take the heat. But little cherry tomatoes, small tomatoes tend to take the heat better. The bigger fruiting ones, they just quit producing when it gets too hot at night. So that's something for folks to know. Right now I'm seeing a lot of fungus in a lot of grasses out there, especially St. Augustine. Someone asked me yesterday, could I use Dithane M45? And yes, you could. You could use some Dithane M45. He mentioned, and in fact, I needed to send it to him on the text. It just reminded me that I need to send him the information. But maybe he's listening. He's in Lakeland, and I was in Lakeland yesterday, and I heard our mighty 860 over in Lakeland, which I was glad to hear because I was thinking, how far does it go? You're always wondering that when you start with a new station. Where does it end and begin?
No, you just mentioned Dithane M45. Is that what you called it?
Yes, it's a fungicide. It's a zinc and manganese.
Okay. So again, when you say zinc and manganese, now that sounds, I can tell you right now that, that sounds less chemically. It sounds more earthy.
Yeah, I'm more in favor of it.
Yeah, so I guess that's the chemicals in it, I think, would cause people to be more likely to want to use it. When you say Dithane, well, man, that sounds bad.
Well, that's true. So read the labels. Always read the labels. It's like getting a drug. I always like to read what's good about this drug, what's bad about this drug. And that's part of course, when I was younger, I would go, look at those folks taking all those pills. And now that I'm one of those guys that's taking all those pills, I'm going, I guess how did that happen? Because I used to look at it, and literally as many as maybe 15 years ago, my father-in-law would be taking a handful of pills, and I was going, oh, look at that. Gosh, I'm never going to be doing that. And now, of course, I've learned in life never to say never about what you're not going to wind up doing.
It happens.
Then you go, oh, my gosh, now I'm taking as many pills as he took.
Sure, and I think that's just part of the aging process. I mean, you have to recognize when that you have certain medical conditions that are going on, and I think that people have to respond accordingly. And so it's just part of the deal. You take the pill so that you can continue to stay here.
I guess that's the deal. All right, 877-969-8600. That's anywhere outside the local area. And, of course, locally, 813-289-1860 will put you on the air with us, and which means, somebody asked you, we asked a question before. All right, somebody wants to know when they can use an auction. Now, a lot of folks think auctions are kind of the last reserve. We're kind of coming up with a new reserve that we maybe should be mentioned when you're doing your presentation. Hey.
Yeah, I mean, to elaborate on what you're saying, rather than thinking of it as a last resort, I think is what you meant to say.
Right.
We can be a primary tool for real estate agents. And one of the neat things is, and like in Pinellas County, there are 9,000 realtors registered with Pinellas Realtor Organization. 9,000.
So we like to say if you could throw a rock into a crowd, you're probably going to hit 15.
Yeah, I always say this. that
Not that you should do that.
Yeah, not that we think you should throw a rock, but if you were to throw a rock in Pinellas County, my thoughts are you've been advertising a certain price, and maybe that price isn't working. Maybe you need, to have a second pair of eyes, look at something, and try to help get it done. And so one of the things that that we try to do here, if there were cameras in here, there are cameras in here. You could see that
it's not COVID.
Yeah, you'd see that Stan is doing the triple hat effect here. He was banging the plexiglass and banging his mic, and but anyway, he's having a lot of fun doing it.
I'm protesting the.
He's quietly okay. He wasn't quiet about it at all, but he was protesting nonetheless.
I'm a gentle protester.
Yeah,
See,
right.
I
don't know this $700 plexiglass contraption. You've got to be more careful. This is Joe's work of art here. It is.
Joe didn't want to claim it, but yeah.
Again, if you need Joe from AM 860 to build you a plexiglass enclosure, I think he's doing this part time. In addition to his stately job here.
Well, that's what they came up. They went, "Oh la la, Joe Weaver made his first billion in Tampa Bay. That's right, building plexiglass for people."
I see no reason why people can't call Joe and get his assistance on building these plexiglass containers for them, so that we can be more COVID-19 compliant. I mean, everyone should have one. Matter of fact, I was thinking about having him build one just so that when we go shopping, I could be in a box the entire time and pick it up and move it.
Put it on top of the cart or something. Yes, no, that's
we're talking.
Exactly.
And then we could have the some kind of glove attachment so that I can interact with the environment.
Joe made the COVID-19 carrier. That's right. For only $29.95, he'll give you a plastic. Well, he can't give you this one for that. He's going to have to give you a plastic bag that he's going to stretch to.
And if anybody's tried to buy plexiglass, Joe will attest. It was like for 3 sheets, he said it was like $700, and I was like, oh my goodness, I should have been a plexiglass manufacturer, because I'm sure they're not price gouging or anything at this time.
But I do feel so much safer.
Don't you? I mean, I know I do. I mean, it's I look at it and it's like rocking me to sleep because I feel so safe.
Well, we'll say that. 877-969-8600. Anywhere outside the area. Inside the area, it's 813-289-1860. And I can lower the voice if you like. 1-813-289-1860.
It's like Walter Cronkite.
Walter Cronkite here for AM 860.
If you got plants or real estate questions, give us a call, 813-289-1860, and stay with us until after the break.
Interested in having a home consult? Remember, you can reach Stan at 727-423-4794 or on the web at askmrgreenthumb.com.
Have you ever thought about auctioning your home?
30, 1 minute and 2 and 2 minute and 3 and 3 minute and 4 and 4 minute and 5 minute and 2 9 minute and 6 on 2 9 minute and 7
Remax Metro encourages you to auction your Florida real estate. Please go to aflre.com. That's A for auction, FL for Florida, and RE for real estate. We achieve full market value for your home. Tired of paying real estate commissions? How about 0% commission for sellers? That's right, sellers pay 0% commission. Again, go aflre.com. That's Auction Florida Real Estate. That's AFLRE.
For everything from questions about cucumbers to homes on cul-de-sacs, you've come to the right place. Welcome to the Ask Mr. Greenthumb and Real Estate Show with Stan DeFreitas, the dad, and James DeFreitas, the son. For the next hour, call in with your questions in gardening, growing your favorite veggies, and growing your profits in real estate. Locally, call 813-289-1860. Toll free 877-969-8600. And now, your hosts, Stan and James DeFreitas.
And I am Stan, the dad, and you are?
And I'm James, the son.
And I think we're the only real estate auction team that I know of that's on the air.
I think that's pretty accurate. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure that there probably are, and across the country, there's probably somebody else doing this. But probably not a father-son team doing it, which is pretty unique in that regard. And but yeah, so Talking about real estate auctions, again, one of the things that I think is a major advantage is, again, we work with the agent that originally had the listing. So almost 90% of our listings or higher are coming in from an agent who already had a listing. And, and again, your client, they always say, and you're quick to point this out too, that time doesn't matter. I want to get the highest price. Doesn't really matter. Mm-hmm. But it does matter, doesn't it?
Time is everybody wants. Time equals money, and time moves on. People want stuff. They'll say, well, I don't really care about the time. How come you've had this for 2 weeks and we haven't had it sold yet? I mean,
right. They were real patient in the beginning, right?
Right.
And then all of a sudden, it's kind of like plants too. I mean, people, they go buy their little seed packets for 99 cents, and if you're like me, I put them into my little earth box, and I'll come back out the next day and go, well, they didn't germinate. What the heck? Something's wrong here.
It takes 7 to 10 days probably to germinate.
7 to 10 days? You should come by. Sometimes I'm looking at the microwave going, why is this Hot Pocket taking so long? Hot Pocket.
Yeah, because we are an instantaneous group, that expects things right now. I mean, I was talking to Ken today. When I was a kid and you had a black phone, you could use as a protector. If somebody came in, you could have literally knocked them out with that hard black phone with our party line.
Party line.
No one.
Is anybody else on this line?
Yeah. Today, if you gave kids a rotary phone, they go, how do you operate such a difficult machine?
Yeah. And I remember in, I'm probably the last generation that remembers it, but I remember in elementary school, I think by middle school, that had changed and moved on. But in elementary school, I remember getting sick one time and going, you need to call your parents if you're sick. And I was trying to use the phone, and I'm going, oh, yeah, that thing where you rotate the thing.
Yeah. It worked.
It worked. But yeah, touch tone dialing, what an amazing concept, which... probably from the millennial generation on up, I don't imagine that they would be, real familiar with any of that. I mean, I still remember having to carry a quarter around with me because, I'll hit the payphone. That's,
Sure.
Or the real big thing that was the thing for me when I was pretty young was, a pager. If you had a pager, boy, that was the thing.
That was big technology.
Yeah, and then of course I remember you.
I had a cell phone that looked like a suitcase.
Yeah, the suitcase cell phone. That thing was so cool. I mean, we were just astounded because you were like, "Yeah, I can make phone calls on this thing," and
from my car.
And you were like, "It's lightweight. It's 28 pounds."
That's right. You say, "Don't bother me. I'm going to be like Arnold Schwarzenegger."
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how heavy it was, but I know it was probably at least 20 pounds.
It felt pretty heavy. It's funny because some of the radio folks used to like to use some of those things back then too, because they say, "Hey, it's got more power." So I remember one of the radio buddies back then. I think Frank Ranieri. I think he had one in our mobile van.
Mobile van?
Well, back when radio stations did more of that, you could go to here, to there, to here, to there. I guess it can still be done. I just don't see it done like it was. It used to be every car dealer would have a station out, sometime maybe half a dozen times during the year. I remember doing a deal one time where they test drove the car, and they got a free plant.
Nice.
And at the time, we were getting the plants from U-Park. So it was kind of a win-win for the kids who were growing plants there, and those kids, of course, are exceptional kids who were and they were quite good at it. I see Brian, one of my old buddies who works at Home Depot. Of course, last time I saw him, he goes, "I thought you were dead." And I goes, "No, I'm not dead, Brian." And he goes, "No, I thought you were dead." And he's such a great kid, young man, I should say.
Sure. Well, and you're not wrong. I mean, the cognitive capabilities of a lot of those. Adults that are born with Down syndrome, often they never get beyond 5 or 7, 6 years of age in terms of cognitive ability.
Well, Brian's higher than.
Yeah, well, I mean, and some are different levels, all different levels.
Sure.
And,
like all of us.
Yeah, and I can speak to a little bit of authority to this because my wife is a special education teacher, and so she's been doing that for. I think around 12 years now. So, time has flown by for her on that, but she has a heart of gold, and she, as a matter of fact, I turned her on to a program that comes on this station from, I think it's on 1 to 2, is a lady who does a a program where she's bringing awareness to working with special needs children. She does a radio show here on AM 860 at 1 o'clock in the afternoons, 1 to 2, I want to say. Or it could be 2 to 3. I don't know. Don't quote me on it. But the point is it's the idea of bringing awareness to this is a very good thing. And it's and I remember you brought a plant. We had one of the things that happens. You don't see it as much happen in regular school, but you see it happen more in special education schools, special centers like Nina Harris in particular. They, you have kids that will pass on, and they'll head over the Rainbow Bridge early, and you happen to bring a plant,
beautiful hibiscus,
beautiful hibiscus, an honorarium, in honor of one of the kids that had passed.
She was a beautiful little girl.
Yeah, so I mean, it's these are just one of many of the really good guy stories that Stan does in his spare time. I mean, he's always thinking about how to help others, and that's a wonderful attribute that we can all learn something from.
Well, we want to say that if you've got some questions pertaining to plants, trees, and the like, or real estate, you can give us a call. The number is 877-969-8600 if you're outside the area. Or if they are locally, what is that number?
If they want to call locally, it's going to be 813-289-1860.
So give us a jingle, and we want to hear about your Bahia, your St. Augustine, your oak tree.
Yeah, and if you had an interesting real estate closing, or you had something that came up that was unique, I don't care if it's about real estate auctions per se. If somebody wants to talk to us, if they're a real estate agent and they had an interesting scenario occur, I would love to hear about it, because we can always learn from other people's experiences. And if you keep all these experiences to yourself and we don't get the benefit of hearing your story, then that experience kind of dies with you. And that's a shame. I know that we've had some interesting real estate experiences, and some of them, most of them positive, but we've had some that were less so. And I think the ones where problems occurred, we tend to remember more, which is probably a shame. But you always learn something. You never know, especially in the real estate world, you never know if your client's going to do something unexpected. One of the things that Stan and I always do is when we do a real estate auction, we always say, you're buying it as is, where is. Mm-hmm. But again, that doesn't mean that the sellers don't have responsibilities. Even if they don't want to take responsibility for a scenario, it doesn't mean they don't have responsibilities. And, you can't sneak in the night before and take a refrigerator. You can't sneak in and take an appliance. And we've had that happen. And often when I'm talking, especially to new real estate agents, one of the first things I'll usually tell them is, hey, anybody in here ever bought a refrigerator they never got to use? You will. And it's not to say that sellers are purposely trying to, not be upfront with how they're going to operate. Just sometimes what happens is they sit back and they think that they're entitled to do something, mainly because there's that education moment hasn't taken place. Real estate agents, and I think you would agree that, we wear a tremendous amount of hats, and we wear more than most.
Sure.
We turn on the real estate agent hat when we're dealing with other real estate agents, and then we often, when we're dealing with clients, we're also, we put on the education cap, and we try to explain to them that they have rights and there's things that they're responsible to do. I think one of the things that gets forgotten about in the real estate process is that you have a duty to maintain a property until it is closed. And sellers act like as soon as they have a deal in that they don't have to keep maintaining a swimming pool. No, you do.
Yep.
And
I've gone to help put chlorine in a pool.
Right. And that's just something. And I would say that to new agents too, is that you will get familiar with doing what you need to do, especially in a really hyper competitive market that we're in. Mm-hmm. I mentioned earlier in the program. There's over 9,000 registered realtors in Pinellas County, and I would argue there that probably 15% of them are making 90% of the money. Okay. And the reason that is they're darn good at what they do.
Sure.
And I would also say too, this is a heavily dominated female industry. Mm-hmm. It's not that men can't make money and can't do a great job, just like the female partners in the business, But the females in this business are darn good at what they do. They're impressive specimens. And I've learned a tremendous amount from a lot of female agents that are just great. And so if there's ever any gender bias out there, there shouldn't be. If anything, you probably should be more speculative towards the men that you're going to hire than you should the females. But you see bias out there all the time, and sellers, by and large, that they bring their biases with them. Now, in real estate agents are pretty neutral, I find. But sellers and clients, you never know what kind of baggage they're going to bring. But if there was one advice to that I would give today is that you have a duty to maintain a property until closing. And if not, get ready to break out your pocketbook to compensate the new buyer for what you didn't do while waiting for that closing to happen.
Make sure you keep the grass cut, the bushes down, and some of the basic maintenance has to continue until it's done. If somebody has a story like that, they can call in, and we'll let them mention where they're from and who they are if they want to do that.
Absolutely. And it doesn't have to be RE/MAX Metro. It could be any brokerage out there that wants to tell us about their story. Or if you've got plants, give us a call, 813-289-1860, and we would love to talk to you today.
As the plant talk continues here on The Answer, AM 860, we're going to continue right after the break.
Want to talk real estate auctions? Call James DeFreitas at 727-254-7127 or go online at aflre.com.
Hi, Darcy the Cow here for Black Cow, the mature manure. Every time you buy a bag of Black Cow, you're helping the environment. Black Cow contains 10 times more nutrients and microbes than garden soils. Your lawn, flower beds, and vegetable gardens will be off to a great start with Black Cow.
Black Cow, the mature manure. Black Cow.
Have you ever thought about auctioning your home?
And 30, 1 bid and 2 and 2 bid and 3 and 4 and 4 bid and 5 bid and 2 9 bid and 6 on 2 9 bid and 7.
RE/MAX Metro encourages you to auction your Florida real estate. Please go to aflre.com. That's A for auction, FL for Florida, and RE for real estate. We achieve full market value for your home. Tired of paying real estate commissions? How about 0% commission for sellers? That's right, sellers pay 0% commission. Again, go aflre.com. That's Auction Florida Real Estate. That's aflre.com.
Thinking of buying a home or refinancing your mortgage? Don't settle for limited loan options. And don't waste your time calling all over town just to compare rates. Skip all the hassle and connect with Motto Mortgage Advisors instead. Motto Mortgage Advisors home loan experts offer a wide variety of mortgage products, and they'll help you compare rates and loan terms in one convenient location. Visit mottomortgage.com or call 727-202-5626. Motto Mortgage Advisors, NMLS 1744233. Each office is independently owned, operated, and licensed. Equal housing opportunity.
Biophilia, our innate attraction to other living things. It's why people love plants. And around Tampa Bay, Plants, that's Plantz, is bringing nature inside in workspaces and homes by delivering beautiful foliage plants. Our plants increase oxygen and filter out pollutants, reducing stress and improving productivity, and get you in touch with your biophilic side. Go to plantz.us.
Yutzi Tree Service, that's YUTZY, is singularly focused on complete customer satisfaction and has been for almost 50 years. From initial contact to service completion, YutziTreeService.com will prove that you have hired the best tree care service available. With the most knowledgeable staff and the most advanced equipment, you can be sure that YutziTreeService.com is the most professional tree care company in the Tampa.
Promise of the Marines.
Welcome back to the Ask Mr. Greenthumb and Real Estate Show. Connect online at AskMrGreenthumb.com. Got questions on gardening, real estate, or both? Call now, 813-289-1860. Toll free, 877-969-8600. And now, your hosts, Stan and James DeFreitas.
And if you want to call us in the local area, it's 813-289-1860. That's 813-289-1860. And outside the area, it is 877-969-8600. And we're here, of course, to answer your questions. If you've got questions about what's going right or wrong in your yard or garden, well, that's what I originally was trained to do. I'm a horticulturist. I'm a certified arborist. And I just was in Lakeland yesterday, actually injecting some trees with some OTC, oxytetracycline, for some palms, which I've been keeping alive. And I also put some fertilizer around the base, trying to get them to go along. I also work for a few cities. And the city of South Pasadena, for one. I've also done some work for the St. Pete Beach and some others, too, and St. Pete, and also USF, University of South Florida.
Sure.
So
and we might mention, too, that, if people have gardening questions, if they don't want to call in live while we're doing the show, because we are up rather early, they can always go to the AskMrGreenthumb.com website, and they can submit a question that way. Again, it's not MISTER, it's just MR, so it's AskMrGreenthumb.com. And so they could submit a question that way. If they, again, on the desktop, they can certainly submit a photograph that way. We are working on making sure our lead technician is working on trying to make sure that we are able to take photographs from people's phones. I think he said it was just some kind of plug-in or something that he would need to add to it to make it more functional in that regard. But nonetheless, if people want to get a question to us, they can. They can also go right to a YouTube browser, and they can type in Ask Mr. Greenthumb, and that's Mr. Greenthumb, not Dr. Greenthumb. That'll get you to the marijuana wrapper guy. You don't want that. You want...
that's big if you're working with Scots.
Well, it would be, and if they want to sponsor the gardening show, then I guess it'd be all about talking about it, at least on the periphery. So yeah, and then we're also on Facebook. So we
liable get some callers calling in, going, "Hey, wow, man, Phoebe's been over here too, man." But we're not going to go into that part of the show.
Yeah, but so the point is too is that people, if they want to get a hold of you, they can. There's multiple ways to do it, and again, the pictures are definitely helpful. I mean, if you can see what is on somebody's plant or on their grass, it's going to be that much more helpful for you to make identification as to what's going on with their problems, and that's helpful. And one of the other things that you do too is that's really cool is that you are the plant doctor that makes house calls, and people can go out and how long do you typically give them? I mean, when you go out there to look at their properties.
I'm usually there about 20, 30 minutes. I usually look at everything that we need to see, and then often I'm prepared to treat. If it needs an injection, let's say with the OTC with palms, with oak trees, if it needs some mojets, or I often put in nutrients into a tree, which to me is just as important as giving it a pesticide. If I want to apply a pesticide, I can put a pesticide into the base of the tree as well. Mm-hmm. And sometimes I may actually treat the base of the tree too if I'm seeing borer activity, sawdust, sap, that type stuff. We can treat for that also.
Sure, and again, I mean, I would also say too that when you're treating it with a pesticide, if you don't treat it with the pesticide, then the borers are going to win and the tree's going to die, right?
You're going to lose the tree. The tree is going down. I guarantee it eventually. It's a matter of time.
So that's my thought there is I know that pesticides become kind of a dirty word, especially in certain camps, but trees dying is also a bad thing too. So I'm trying to figure out how you rectify the difference. So in my mind, so I think what you're saying is under certain circumstances, pesticides very necessary to use, when it's necessary in a limited capacity.
Dose makes the poison. Yeah, right. I think it has a place, and I think you have to use it on occasion.
So one of the things that I guess what I'm getting at is that you ultimately have to be in a situation where you judge it accordingly, take a look at this particular situation, and sit back and say, okay, well, hey, we're going to have to use this because if we don't, then the tree's going to fall over and die, and we don't want that. We want people to be able to have things live their normal duration. Although trees and plants and all those kinds of things, they do have their own lifespan, just like we do.
Yeah, some could live a long time. Some could live 300, 400 years, maybe longer, maybe 1,000. Sure. Some things will die off as an annual. They'll die off within a season. So, that's something we have. We've got Steve in Tampa. I wonder if we've got time. Steve, we'll try to get to you before the break here. And you want to talk about hydrotane. Okay, Steve, good morning. Make sure Steve is with us.
Good morning, Steve.
Guys.
Good morning. How are you?
Hey, good. We need some rain. I'm just wondering if you ever used Hydrotane and if it really works.
I have used Hydrotane, and I think it's a good product. Used to advertise the product years ago, and I also used it, and I think it helps. You know, it helps makes the water wetter, if you will, and it helps it kind of break that tension on the ground. Sometimes, you see a rain and all the water does get there seems to go off.
Yeah, and if I remember correctly, that's a product where once it's mixed with water, it kind of turns into like a gelatinous type.
No, this is different. This is you're thinking of another line of products.
Okay.
Steve, do you have another question? We can put you on hold.
No, thanks, guys.
That's a good one. Thanks.
Thanks so much, Steve.
Bye.
And we're here to answer your questions. And the number's 877-969-8600 or 813-289-1860. And you stay with us as the Plant Talk and Real Estate Talk continues here on AM 860, The Answer.
Interested in having a home consult? Remember, you can reach Stan at 727-423-4794 or on the web at askmrgreenthumb.com.
Have you ever thought about auctioning your home?
And 30, 1 minute, and 2, and 2 minute, and 3, and 3 minute, and 4, and 4 minute, and 5, 5 minute, and 2, 9 minute, and 6, and 2, 9 minute, and 7, 2.
RE/MAX Metro encourages you to auction your Florida real estate. Please go to aflre.com. That's A for auction, FL for Florida, and RE for real estate. We achieve full market value for your home. Tired of paying real estate commissions? How about 0% commission for sellers? That's right, sellers pay 0% commission. Again, go aflre.com. That's Auction Florida Real Estate. That's aflre.com.
Thinking of buying a home or refinancing your mortgage? Don't settle for limited loan options. And don't waste your time calling all over town just to compare rates. Skip all the hassle and connect with Motto Mortgage Advisors instead. Motto Mortgage Advisors home loan experts offer a wide variety of mortgage products, and they'll help you compare rates and loan terms in one convenient location. Visit mottomortgage.com or call 727-202-5626. Motto Mortgage Advisors, NMLS 1744233. Each office is independently owned, operated, and licensed. Equal housing opportunity.
Hi, Darcy the cow here for Black Cow, the mature manure. Every time you buy a bag of Black Cow, you're helping the environment. Black Cow contains 10 times more nutrients and microbes than garden soils. Your lawn, flower beds, and vegetable gardens will be off to a great start with Black Cow.
Black cow, the mature manure. Black cow.
Welcome back to the Ask Mr. Greenthumb and Real Estate Show. Got questions about perennial problems with flowers? What about issues with closing on your newest property? Call now, 813-289-1860. Toll free, 877-969-8600. And now, your hosts, Stan and James DeFreitas.
And we're here to help answer all of your gardening questions, and that be with trees, shrubs, whatever it may occur. As I mentioned, I am a certified arborist, so if you've got questions about that, often I work with Carl Utzi, great tree service. And, what's smart about Carl is he knows if we can keep that tree alive, I'm going to be able to trim it the next 20 times over the next 10 years maybe, or 10 times over the next 20 years. If you take it out once, it's gone. And remember, trees are taking in carbon dioxide, giving off oxygen. So they're doing a lot of good things. Keeping those trees are good. And people say, are you a tree hugger? Well, yes, I am. I love having trees. I think they're important to our world. And I don't think it's a political thing. Do you say, well, are you on this side or that side? I'm on the green side. I'm there for helping to keep the environment going. And we all should be. So that's something that I preach to folks. Do I like growing edible stuff? Yeah, I do. I try to grow a little bit of edible stuff. I've got carambolas. I've got a navel. It's not doing that well. I'm not sure if my navel is going to stay with me forever because I think it may have the disease in the tree.
Yeah.
And
what is it? Citrus?
Woods are greening.
Citrus greening.
And I think
that was a big one.
It's and there's one other one. They tried all these things about trying to keep people. We're gonna have inspectors come to check trees all the time, and there was other diseases too, med flies and other things that we've tried, and they would have inspectors come check your trees out. You couldn't you're not going to be able to stop some of the diseases that occur.
Right.
And it brings me back to the point of too, when I was a kid, if somebody had the measles, the mothers all brought their kids around, so they got the measles, got it over with, and got it done. Now that today, I'm sure that mother would probably be tarred and feathered because that is heresy. But what they did was, let's get the disease, get it done, get it over.
Sure.
Now today, of course, that would be just criminal.
Sure,
I guess.
Sure. And again, I mean, we were talking about COVID at the beginning of the show, and one of the things I would say is, it's about risk tolerance again. I mean, we've become a society where everything, it's either 100% safe and if it's not 100% safe, then it's not safe. We don't seem to have this acceptable risk. But we do on certain things that we're okay with.
Nothing's totally safe. I mean, I took a more danger worrying about driving to Lakeland yesterday than I'm worried about COVID.
Right, but
that's acceptable.
And I think that's the essence of what's missing in some of the arguments that I hear. Is that, we're okay with getting in our cars and driving to our locations, and we don't bat an eye about it. But the moment we get out of our cars, we throw that mask on because we potentially could get COVID. And my thoughts are there is, again, it's not to say that it's not deadly. And I think that COVID is deadly. If you have a compromised immune system, I think you need to be extra careful. You need to really think about it. But I also think that if you're healthy, if you're fairly young, I mean, I was looking at the stats in terms of kids that got infected and died from COVID in the United States, and I think it's less than 100. But we kept all of the kids out of school. There were more kids that died from firework incidences, and there were kids that died the amount of people that die driving, the vehicular deaths in this country, I'm sure hundreds of thousands of people die every year from that. But we don't stop driving our cars. Life continues. We don't wreck our economy on things that might get us. And then plus you have to factor in the fact that we have lots of scenarios where we really can't even trust the fatality rate. We don't even really know what the fatality rate is. So I have some trouble with the idea of anybody going on national television and telling us, you must do this because it is this deadly. Okay, well, if we could trust the numbers, then maybe I can get on board with that sort of thinking. But unfortunately, when you're coding patients as a COVID death because you get a higher insurance payout, then I think the numbers are suspect. So we have to keep that in mind too, that there's, you can't take the politics out of this scenario. And because it's alive and well, and you have to look at it and see, who has the most to benefit from calling something a COVID death. And the hospitals clearly had an economic incentive to do that. I'm not saying that they're all doing that, but I think some of them have done it. And I think if some are doing it, then we need to know how many have and how many were actually real deaths.
Sure. Makes sense to me. Well, if you've got plant questions, you've got tree questions, you've got real estate questions, we're here. The number is 877-969-8600. That's outside the area. Inside the area, it's 813-289-1860. And again, we're happy to talk about plants and or real estate. And, if you have an interesting real estate, if you're a real estate professional and you had an interesting closing, I mean, we know that there are tons of real estate agents out there. So, give us a call, talk to us a little bit about a scenario, maybe a scenario that didn't go perfectly. I know you get on Facebook. I listed it and sold it in 4 minutes. Can you believe it? It's fantastic. I am the super duper real estate agent of the year. But I don't find that we learn a whole lot from that other than how great you are. I think the greater story is learning about when things weren't 100% right, and you still found a way to make a closing close. Those are interesting stories. Those are the stories I'd love to hear more about. Sure. Well, we want to say, hopefully you've got the kind of broker who goes, hey, we'll make it happen.
Yeah.
Or you maybe have the broker who goes, it ain't going to happen today. It ain't happening today.
It's not closing. It's not closing.
Yeah. I mean, what kind of broker do that? But there are some out there.
Yep, there are.
That would do that. And
but the nice thing that I would say is, if you are unhappy with your current brokerage relationship, there are lots of wonderful brokers you can move to. Remax Metro, again, we're biased because we work there. But I'm also going to say that if you want to, now they don't typically take brand new agents, but if you're a successful agent established in the business and you want to work with a great team, I can certainly say give us a call. I can tell you who you need to talk to because they're always looking to add good people to their staff that are going to be that have had some experience in doing this and are not brand new to the business. And we couldn't be prouder of working for Remax Metro.
That's true. Might mention right now, if you've got St. Augustine, you see like a burned area where the sun is the hottest, it probably is chinch bug. And there are different pesticides that can be used, and some of them are relatively safe if they're used correctly. Mm-hmm. And, keeping that grass alive. You're going to find usually the chinch bug shows up near the walkway, near the road. Where the hottest area is where chinch bugs love to get.
Yeah, it kind of looks like a blowtorch almost, like somebody has lit up the area like you had a gasoline spill. I always look at it that way, and it's pretty obvious, like brand new healthy grass. And again, one of the things is growing up as a kid, you're always trying to figure out why is Dad bent over like that, picking through the grass. And eventually I'd walk over there and try to figure out what he was doing. And we'd go to the new growth, right between the terminal line of where it's totally dead and where the new growth is. Because you educated me at that process. Say, hey, that's where they're going.
Yep, and that's where you'll find them often. If it's totally dead, they've moved on because they've already. What they do is they stick their like a little beak-like stylet into the stems normally, and they start to suck the juice out, and they actually start breaking it down so they can feed upon it. And as they do, then it starts to turn that brown color. They'll be moving over toward where it's greener, but you may see that. Also, of course, fungi right now, we need more rain. We had Steve ask us a question about the hydrotane. Good idea to help hold moisture in your grass. Right now, I'm glad I've got the recycled water because, I can use it and I don't feel guilty about it. In fact, it's a good thing to do that. And with my combination grass, which is not uncommon, it's I try to water probably every couple of days.
Sure.
And between putting water there and water in the pool, because the heat and is drying the pool down sometimes too.
Well, can you believe it? We had a heat index the other day of 108 degrees, and we're not even into July.
Yeah, this isn't even our hot time yet.
Yeah. So yeah, even though I have some conservative ideas on how I approach life, or at least in my mind, I call them common sense ideas, I do acknowledge that we do seem to be warm, really warm. I guess I'm a healthy contradiction, walking contradiction, as most people are. We're a huge dichotomy of different thoughts, and we all are. But I will say that even if people have radically different ideas from me, I still respect your point of view. It doesn't mean that I agree with you. But I think that we also, as a society, need to be okay that we have lots of different points of view. We're a melting pot society. We're nobody. When I hear the term American, well, we're all Americans. Now again, my mind on that is that whether you have a D or an R, we should still always love the flag. We shouldn't be burning flags or doing that kind of stuff because I think it's disrespectful for the amount of people that we've had in this country that have served in the armed forces. I think. I think we should be mindful of that. I think there are other ways to protest without doing those sorts of things. So that's my little 2 cents on that. But I think the one thing I would want to say is that, I definitely respect different points of view. I just want to have my points of view equally respected. And
I think we did that this morning.
Sure. Absolutely.
And we respect your point of view, too. If you want to call in, and it doesn't have to be exactly our point of view, but we will respect your ability to come up with an argument one way or another, or a question or a comment about the way you think things are happening. I saw yesterday, not to get back into that much, but I see that all the bars, they've decided
they're all closed again.
They're closed again.
Yeah.
And I kept thinking, I worry about those folks because often in the bar and restaurant business, where they make their money is in the bar business.
Right.
And sometimes they'll close the whole thing down. And then you've got a whole good group of people who are out of work.
Right.
And, are we going to take care of those people? God, I don't know. I mean, we did have the one stimulus, but how far does that go?
Well, I don't think it goes as far as the federal government thought it would go. But if you want to talk about plants and or real estate, give us a call at 877-969-8600 or 813-289-1860. We'll be talking about plants and or real estate for I'd say for another 14 minutes or so, and then we'll be done, and you'll have to submit your question to us that we'll talk about it next week.
We did get some questions last week, but you can call us right now.
Want to talk real estate auctions? Call James DeFreitas at 727-254-7127 or go online at aflre.com.
Hi, Darcy the cow here for Black Cow, the mature manure. Every time you buy a bag of Black Cow, you're helping the environment. Black Cow contains 10 times more nutrients and microbes than garden soils. Your lawn, flower beds, and vegetable gardens will be off to a great start with Black Cow.
Black Cow, the mature manure. Black Cow.
Biophilia, our innate attraction to other living things. It's why people love plants. And around Tampa Bay, Plants, that's Plantz, is bringing nature inside in workspaces and homes by delivering beautiful foliage plants. Our plants increase oxygen and filter out pollutants, reducing stress and improving productivity. And get you in touch with your biophilic side. Go to plantz.us.
Have you ever thought about auctioning your home?
And 30, 1 minute and 2 and 2 minute and 3 and 3 minute and 4 and 4 minute and 5 minute and 2 9 minute and 6 on 2 9 minute and 7.
Remax Metro encourages you to auction your Florida real estate. Please go to aflre.com. That's A for auction, FL for Florida, and RE for real estate. We achieve full market value for your home. Tired of paying real estate commissions? How about 0% commission for sellers? That's right, sellers pay 0% commission. Again, go aflre.com. That's Auction Florida Real Estate. That's aflre.com.
Utz Tree Service, that's YUTZY, is singularly focused on complete customer satisfaction and has been for almost 50 years. From initial contact to service completion, UTZTreeService.com will prove that you have hired the best tree care service available. With the most knowledgeable staff and the most advanced equipment, you can be sure that UTZTreeService.com is the most professional tree care company in the Tampa Bay area. Contact UTZTreeService.com today for the highest quality tree care.
Thinking of buying a home or refinancing your mortgage? Don't settle for limited loan options. And don't waste your time calling all over town just to compare rates. Skip all the hassle and connect with Motto Mortgage Advisors instead. Motto Mortgage Advisors home loan experts offer a wide variety of mortgage products, and they'll help you compare rates and loan terms in one convenient location. Visit MottoMortgage.com or call 727-202-5626. Motto Mortgage Advisors, NMLS 1744233. Each office is independently owned, operated, and licensed. Equal housing opportunity.
Welcome back to the Ask Mr. Greenthumb and Real Estate Show. Connect online at AskMrGreenthumb.com. Got questions on gardening, real estate, or both? Call now, 813-289-1860. Toll free, 877-969-8600. And now, your hosts, Stan and James DeFreitas.
And one of the things you can do for us is to make sure your neighbors and friends or anybody you know that's in the horticulture business, if you liked my show for years and years...
Which they did.
It was not usually number 1 or number 2 when I was at the other station. And I'm not going to mention the name of the station, but I did work with Ted Webb and Jack Harris there and other people who were there.
That's kind of like mentioning the station, isn't it?
Well, it kind of mentions who I worked with over the years. And those are both great guys, by the way. I've enjoyed... Ted was one of those guys go, hey, everybody, this is Ted Webb.
He's still a great guy.
He's still a great guy. But I mean, when he was on radio all the time, always enjoyed Ted, a seasoned veteran. And, of course, jocular Jack Harris from By God, West Virginia. Anyway, two of my compatriots that I worked with for the last 40 years in this business. Now I'm working with my son, which is, I won't say a step up, but a step over and a step with.
I think it's a step up.
All right, step up.
Now.
Yeah, you're a good man to work with, Letty. I'm glad to have you. You're a great son, and it's fun to do a show together. I know that we've not had as many calls today, so if you want to give us a call, you've got a few minutes left to do that.
That's right. We got a few minutes left, and we'd be happy to get you on the air and talk about plants and or real estate, either one. If it's whatever topic floats your boat, we're happy to talk about it. We do have a lot going on. I mean, I know we're a plant and real estate program, but it's hard not to talk about what's going on in the world right now. And, and that's one of the reasons why we talk so much about COVID-19 in the last 2 hours is that, it's so pervasive in everything that we're doing. And, it impacts almost every business. And, and that's one of the reasons why even yesterday you're talking about, there's Paul Porter doing his sports show and you're thinking, wow, COVID, I want to talk about sports. But again, it largely dominated his show too, because you just can't escape how much of an impact that is. I mean, and again, I would say to be careful what you wish for. If you really want to be super, super safe out there, that's fine, but that means no sports. So, I think that that's, one of the things I worry about for this country is we do need some escapism. We do need to be planting plants. We do need to be doing some of the things that we need to do.
Sure.
So,
and speaking of that, we have Tim in Tarpon Springs and a question about his azaleas. Good morning, Tim.
Good morning, Tim.
I'm not sure. Apparently not.
Okay,
Maybe I'll have to run down the hallway.
Yeah, we'll find out. We'll get back to him in a minute. As soon as he gets piped in, we'll get back to that. But azaleas. So I mean, what do you know about azaleas? I mean, we could at least talk about on the periphery of azaleas.
One of the things I do on occasion right now is I'll spray them for fungus, and because they get a little spotting in the foliage, and they're kind of prone to it. One of the plants I dislike now is the Indian hawthorn because it always gets into fungus.
Yeah, I remember you saying that. The Indian hawthorns is...
It's in the rose family.
Yeah, and I remember asking you several times, too, hey, Indian hawthorns, what do you think about that for my landscape? And you're like, you always give me that grimace look.
Because you got to spray them all the time to keep that fungus down, and that, to me, is a problem. And I have some in some of the jobs we've worked on. But maybe we can have... We'll have Ken in Master Control check to see where Tim is and why that line has not come up. I'm not sure, but Tim should be there. Tim's probably going, hey, how come they're not putting me on?
Yeah.
And but I see it on the line, which means I know it should be there. And do we have him? All right, is Tim there? Let's say, hey, Tim.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Good morning.
There you go.
Good morning.
I'm still here. I don't know where your other guy is, but.
I think they had a big long string they had to pull from 3 doors down. They pulled down here to us, and they gave us another can.
Exactly. I've got a brand new can. I don't understand. Okay, I think you started ahead there with fungus. First off, I found you on the radio this morning, so that's good news.
Thank you.
Be sure when you sign off here, tell your hours and what days. And
sure. We're on every Sunday morning from 7 to 9 a.m. on AM 860, and
Perfect.
we're primarily discussing gardening and or real estate. So
yeah, I like that. Pretty then it'll morph into computers and home repairs.
Yeah.
Anyway,
yeah, you know us.
Depending on the sponsorship, you got that right.
Exactly. Anything for a buck. Okay.
True.
All right, so you started to go there with the fungus aspect, I believe. I've got discoloration. It's kind of like a little graying, a little stippling of the leaf. I'm not sure. But
could be a fungus, or take a hand lens, like a little magnifying glass. Everybody's got one in their home. Check over that leaf real closely. They do get into some lace bug. They do get into some mites on occasion. They're tiny, about 1/50th of an inch, the size of a pinpoint. So that's the reason I'm saying, something about a 10 to 15 power magnification will help you see that too. You could have insects. If it is insects, then possibly there's a number of bifenthrin is probably one of the most common. Spectrum makes it. There's a number of other companies that do too. If it isn't that, with the fungus, you can actually see the little tiny dots, the spores of the fungus. And for that, probably I usually use diethane M45 as one of the most common materials. You could use copper. There are some other fungicides out there, too. There's a plethora of fungicides.
Diethane M45?
Yeah, it's DITHANE M45. Diethane M45.
Where do you get that?
Probably any local nursery, garden supply, even the big box stores. They'll have it. They should have it.
And the one for bugs was
Bifenthrin. Yeah, it's B-I-E-N, I think, bifen, and then thrin, T-H-R-I-N. Bifenthrin. It's an active ingredient. You may not see it sold as bifenthrin, but when you look at the label, it'll have like Spectracide or Spectrum on it, and it'll say general pesticide.
Okay, now if I misdiagnose, I pick the bugs for fungus or fungus for bugs, and I do one or the other, or can I do both?
You could do both, or you can send us a picture.
Yeah, absolutely.
Send me a photo.
If you could send us a picture to AskMrGreenthumb.com, you can go to the website and do that. That would be fantastic because we'd love to be able to show people your problem to educate the others that maybe didn't have the same courage you had to call.
Yeah, we actually have 3 cameras in here, so people can watch the show and listen to it on our YouTube channel.
Mm-hmm.
AskMrGreenthumb.com. Is Mr. MR period? Or?
It's MR.
Yeah, it's just MR, no period. So it's AskMrGreenthumb.com. And, we love having people submit their pictures that way so that we can help others.
Thank you very much. Glad you're there.
Thank you so much for calling.
Thanks,
Have
Tim.
a great day.
Appreciate you.
And we're here. Of course, that means next week we want to hear from you. Give us a call and be a part of our show.
Absolutely, and we look forward to having people call us, and we'll probably try to get some Facebook Live stuff going on at some point too. So, thank you so much for listening to us today. We'll be back.
Great one.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Interested in having a home consult? Remember, you can reach Stan at 727-423-4794 or on the web at AskMrGreenthumb.com.